I think classes like this are super important for teachers because it kind of helps give Indigenous students and kids more of an identity when it comes to the Canadian curriculum. So a lot of the times growing up for myself, I can remember learning about all these explorers and learning all these names from both England and France particularly, but there's not a lot of Indigenous names, and the only Métis name you hear is in the context of what they call the rebellion. So the classes like the one that Sheila's offering are important because it kind of gives you a little bit more introspection and insight into what the Métis people have gone through.
All teachers need to take charge of making sure that what's mandated in the Saskatchewan curriculum gets presented to the young people. So they have this information. So they can feel that they are very aware of some of the learning that wasn't really there for their parents or grandparents, and that they can lead the way and help their families understand why it's so very important that reconciliation and the truth of why we need to be there is presented to folks.
A lot of the things that you hear, especially when it comes to residential schools, is people saying, I never learned about this. I didn't know about this. This is not the Canada that I was raised to know. We're not trying to whip out the knives and pitchforks and say, Canada's awful, this is evil. It's just saying, we're not living up to the idea of what we want Canada to be. We say it's a melting pot, but here's a long history of us trying to erase a culture. So we're going to bring the culture back. We're going to teach people about this, and we're going to kind of look at this and say, how can we go forward? How can we reconcile and say, this is your land, we're here now, this is our land too, let's find a way to coexist in a way that's less rocky than it has been.
We need to make sure that inclusivity was important. We felt that this class particularly was very important, not to just bring out the identity of our peoples and let students know to be proud of who they are, but to uncover some of the things that have been hidden so that people are very aware of the atrocities Indigenous peoples, particularly First Nations and Métis, faced in this country.
I think it'll give me a lot more things to be enthusiastic about with teaching. It's always, you want to bring something personal into what you do. And I do love education, I love teaching, and I love sharing knowledge, but just more than that, I love my culture, and I love finally having something to call my culture after many years of it not being as present in my life.
We don't want to start, throwing history completely out of the way, but we want our histories to be afforded to these students. So they don't come to campuses across countries and say, I didn't know that when I was going to school. No one ever shared any of this information with me. And I feel cheated out on that learning. We want to change all that, and we believe that that is reconciliation. We're teaching it in the winter term. I said, if we're still on